Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Back in the Awakenings block, designer Lucas Litzinger was trying very hard to make Blue Villain the archetype of blanks. It was kind of a cool concept, right? Turning an otherwise undesirable part of the game into your offense. And while neat in concept, it never really quite worked as an archetype. Now, over the last few sets, ARH has taken a stab at a similar type of idea, in this case using the removal of one's own dice to progress their own offensive plan. Yellow Villain has quickly become the faction that, quite effectively, uses the removal of its own dice, both defensively and offensively. And not only is this a successful archetype, but it's also very strong in the current state of the game. So today, I'm talking about why I find your removal to be utterly offensive. Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. Hope everything is going well with you guys, and happy Destiny Friday. Thanks for checking in once again. So yeah, today I'm talking about how I find your removal to be utterly offensive. So really cool archetype that they've been able to develop over really the last two sets. I mean, it's, the concept of removal defensively has really always been there. I mean, it's dating all the way back to He Doesn't Like You, which obviously served for a template for part of the archetype. But we really saw this pop up with Pre and the Death Watch Mandos, right? That whole idea there in Unlikely Heroes, right? And so we saw them, and to a lesser extent, we saw Aura Singh as well. But the big piece of that, which still serves, I would think, as a large cornerstone of this entire archetype, is Black Stall Station, right? And that card itself pretty much defines why Yellow Villain has this. But it's not just what we saw there. They've continued to expand upon this in the next set as well, right? So let's go ahead and look at kind of the fundamentals of it. Is Pre and the Death Watch boys, right? Well, we'll throw up Black Stall Station as well, because why not? That all fits together. But this idea of being able to remove your dice to get a benefit from it and also further your win con, right? So you're really getting a double dip, right? So if the trick there being that, right, on the Death Watch, you can't just remove his die, you have to do something that can do it. So you have something like, obviously you see Pre can do it to a limited extent. You also have card effects that do that. We have Hold Fast, which was the non-unique die, which was very, not necessarily just for them, but it was largely for them and very effective. Now, so you had that archetype before, sure. It never made, it was always out there. It was doing okay. It was never making huge waves within that meta. But then we came around to Seeking Answers, and that's where a lot of stuff really started to fall into place. Because, let's just cut right to it. You got a couple new pieces. You got Underworld, right? So Underworld, the plot. It used to be when you looked at the Pre-Death Watch, it was single Pre, single Death Watch. Well, now you can run Underworld as the 2-point plot and kind of do your math differently there, where you run them both elite. And remember with the Death Watch Mando that it's when this die is removed, so you can remove, you can do it twice, one for each of his die if he's elite. And Underworld gives you an on-demand trigger to do it that effectively saves you money. So turning any one of your dice on demand into effectively a resource and throwing potentially an indirect out of it, or more if you're able to get Black Stall down, that's pretty strong, right? So that's a major piece to this, right? Which is why we're talking yellow villain as well. I mean, it's not, it's not entirely on that archetype, but it's pretty much in. I mean, the concept is not entirely limited to yellow villain, right? The generic concept of it, in terms of removing dice to do other stuff, but the concept of removing your dice basically as an offensive game plan is very much yellow villain. And then let's just cut to the chase. The major piece in this that came out in this set is the Tusken Camp, right? So this card is crazy good combined with Black Stall, because you roll out, remove one of your dice to gain a resource. That's pretty good. This thing rolls out 3 dice for 3, but it's effectively a 2-drop, and you're with Black Stall out, you're throwing stuff across the table, right? Let's just think that they had the foresight to make Black Stall unique, right? So very, very good there. Now, I mean, obviously it's very good. I do think that, probably I see a lot of parallels to this archetype that I did to Afra's role, really, basically as long as she was legal, right? And I'm talking OG Afra, right? Legacies Afra. She was always kind of there. And I mean, basically from, not really in Legacies, but basically from Way of the Force onward, she was always kind of there. With potential stuff in kind of like the tier 1.5 range, right? She was never necessarily, there were metas where she was better than others, obviously, but she was never like the dominant force in the meta, but she was always there to like kind of take advantage and basically slide in if the meta turned favorable to it somehow, right? And I see this deck, this archetype, this deck, whatever you want to call it, I see this as being something very, very similar to that, right? Where if Mill gets too good, this will be very good, right? It will be. Or it will be more advantageously positioned. Let's put it that way, right? So, as Mill picks up, this gets better. Having a safety valve for your Mill's a safety valve. Having a safety valve for your safety valve is always good. This seems to be a little more aggressive than a bunch of, although you can ramp like a champ these days, to be fair. But this deck can ramp too, right? Because you have something I haven't talked about yet, which is the Gauntlet Fighter, which does its own thing, right? So you can roll in and you get the immediate resolution and remove your die, which, if you're moving a Death Watch die, that's 2 interact coming across the table, plus whatever you resolved, and they can't do anything about it, right? Because it just comes in and you do it. So, yeah, this archetype's very, very cool, very well designed. It's actually working, right? It's working very well. And, let's see what we get in the future. I think we keep an eye on it. Because I think something that they did very well with Afra back in the day was she never got too good. I mean, there was some times where she was pretty good, but she never really became like too oppressive. So let's hope that, and again, with this mostly being mono, I mean, I suppose you don't have to have it be. It doesn't. It certainly doesn't have to be a mono archetype. But probably most of the time it's going to be, right? So, I know we've talked a lot about Pre and the Death Watch, and yes, they're a major piece of this, but it's not the only thing. If you guys saw the game that went up earlier this week, that was Boba Evazan, right? Evazan is also another, completely skipped over Evazan, right? Evazan's a huge piece of this for the on-demand, right, survival removal. And he's almost more of a piece on like the support style of this deck, right? Because he can help you remove and survive long enough to get your engine online. And anyway, this archetype is very, very powerful. And I think that there's going to be some really cool decks that come out of it. The Daimyo Boba Evazan deck with Underworld is pretty good. The Elite Elite Death Watch Underworld is pretty good. And so let's see where people go with this. The only comment I have on it is that I think, and this is not necessarily for this archetype, but seeing the role that, we all knew when Tusken Camp came out, we all knew it was going to be one of the best cards in the set, right? I think that's a pretty solid statement. We talked about that a lot on Dice Commando, on the review that we did, the set review. Very, very strong card. So I think we're going to have to be very careful and watch how that one evolves going forward. It's a really strong card, right? And that combined with Black Stall that's pretty rough, right? Because you get 2 of those out, it helps you ramp to more. It's really good. It's really good, and it coming at you with threats from all angles. And like I used the BK example, right? You're not shooting him. How do you shoot BK and not take damage to the face from him? Well, you'd use Tusken Raider character dice and other support dice, right, and stuff like that. So, and I do think that by and large, this deck, how does it play into Rey with all the pings and stuff? Probably not as great, and checks and balances, right? So, anyway, I'm very excited about seeing this develop. I really like the concept of having the undesirable become desirable, and I think they've done a good job with it, and I'm really, really excited to see where it goes. So, yeah, let me know. Have you guys been playing around with it? What do you think? How do you think it fits into everything? Is it too good? Is it not good enough? What do you think? So anyway, let me know. Let me know below in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for continuing to play Star Wars Destiny. If nothing else, folks, go Commando.